Welcome to the Tip In Maple Leafs podcast. I'm Chad.
I'm Dale.
We're letting you in behind the curtain today.
First time ever.
You get to see us. We're doing a video.
Hey, man, we got to get on the YouTube train.
Yeah, I know. That's all I do is watch YouTube.
First time zooming it.
So it's been a while since we've done a podcast, like done anything. And here we are. And they finally did it. They announced the Pornhub cities.
Yeah, we were kind of waiting, right? We were waiting for the official announcement to come down, which came down yesterday afternoon, late. Yeah. It was like between 6 and 7 before they officially announced anything. So,
yeah, and we didn't know. We wanted to make sure that there was something to actually talk about. You don't want to just keep talking and talking. Then they're like, oh, you know what? Everything's canceled. Game over. But it seems like things are a go now.
It seems that way for now.
So let's right off the bat, number one topic, a strip club in the Niagara Falls area is going to open under COVID without strippers.
Really?
Yeah.
First time I've heard that.
Yeah. So their patio is going to be open, but there's no strippers. So do you want to go to a strip club and pay $20 beers on the patio, or
not particularly? But are the strippers just going to be like serving food instead of dancing? Or
well, apparently they've installed a pole on the patio, but it's against the law to strip outside.
Right. But you can probably dance a little bit.
You could probably
just not naked, maybe.
Yeah, you could swing it a little bit.
Just got to keep the clothes on. Got to keep it tight and right.
Yeah, keep the panties on.
Well, hey man, I thought you were gonna say they were gonna open one in the hub.
Oh, that would actually. I never thought about that, but I mean, Pornhub in Edmonton, yeah, they could definitely do that. So the Pornhub cities, Toronto and Edmonton.
That's right. So we went. Honestly, golf clap for Gary Bettman. Gary Bettman. Didn't think you had it in you, Jerry. Did not think you had it in you, honestly. But
actually made the right choice.
For once, the NHL makes the right call and goes to the two best locations where the numbers were the lowest. Like, what were we saying all along? Go where the numbers are the lowest.
Yeah.
Like, you don't park it in Vegas. You can't park it anywhere in the States right now. What the hell's shit show that's going on down there?
Yeah, no.
Go to the two cities. We were even talking about, why does it have to be two cities? Why did make it fucking 4 cities? Whatever. But they ended up going with 2, and they were smart about it, which I cannot believe it. Like, it must have just killed him to not have one of the cities be in America.
Oh, it did. And I think that is why. Well, okay, so we did our last podcast back in mid-June, and all we talked about, we kept texting each other, and we're like, well, you want to wait because they're going to announce the hub cities. And as soon as they announce the hub cities, we'll do our next podcast. Well, just kept getting put off. And I think that's because Jerry was desperately hoping that an American city could somehow get COVID under control, and we could name that. Like, I think he really wanted to have it in Vegas or Chicago or New York.
Without a doubt, man.
And it didn't make sense.
Like, let's be honest here. Camps are supposed to open on Monday, okay?
Yeah.
He waited until the last fucking second. Like, they literally did not make the announcement until late Friday afternoon. And I know it had been in the works. Bob McKenzie had been reporting, like, that it was going to be Toronto and Edmonton.
But they didn't announce it. They didn't announce it.
I'm sure Jerry was squirming behind the scenes trying to figure it out if any way he could make it, like, LA, Chicago, Vegas. I think those were the final 3 teams in the States left. But hey, man, kudos, and I don't say that very often, to the league offices and Jerry Bettman for making the right fucking decision. If this thing is gonna go, which I'm still skeptical, we'll get into that in a bit. But if it's gonna go, they're putting it in the 2 right places for it to succeed, in my opinion.
Yeah. I don't know what the case numbers are in Edmonton.
They're low.
But they're very, very low. And I mean, like you say, compared to the States, it's a no-brainer.
Oh, dude. I think in Ontario today or yesterday, it was like around 1,000, just shy of or just over in the entire province. In Edmonton, I think it's less. than that. Hence, I guess they're going to be going to play the conference finals and the finals in Edmonton, which I'm glad that's the case. Unless the Leafs are still in it, then I would like to see it in Toronto. But if the Leafs don't make it that far, like we talked about this before, like I don't want to see another team skating around Scotiabank with the cup if it's not the fucking Leafs.
Yeah.
So
really,
at least
I would take the Leafs skating around anywhere with the guy.
Oh no, for sure. But I don't want to see the Bruins skating around or anybody really skating around Scotiabank if it's not the Leafs. But like, so it's good. Like I'm glad now that Toronto's a hub city because come conference finals, they'll be out of there, out west, and everybody will be out west. So it's all good. Like I'm glad that the finals are not being played.
Now I haven't heard a lot about what Edmonton plans to do. I know they have the hotels and the arena is fully equipped to do, like, it has practice facilities, it has workout rooms. Like apparently it's unbelievable.
Right.
But what Toronto is undertaking is amazing.
Yeah.
40 acres on Exhibition Place.
Yeah.
A tent city like an Olympic Village. They're going to have food trucks from around the world so you can eat whatever food you want. Movie theaters. They're going to have like games and stuff like that. Like they don't want them cooped up in their hotel rooms going crazy. They want them to feel like they still have a life outside of the arena, but they have to build this life in a tent city in Exhibition Place. It's pretty awesome what Toronto's planned, although you still have to staff all that with people.
That's right. And they've got about 2 weeks to do it. So unless they've already started, they probably have or by now, I guess. Yeah. But like all those people
going on.
Okay, like they've split up the top 4 seeds and they threw Pittsburgh in with them. So there's going to be 5 teams staying at Hotel X, and all the other play-in teams are staying at the Royal York. Did you see that?
Mm-hmm.
So the Leafs will be at the Royal York, and then I don't know what will happen once the first, like the play-in round is over and like a lot of the teams are gone. But so I don't know, like I guess like how they're going to, as far as chefs and people that are working at the hotels and people who are whatever food truck wise or whatever entertainment they're going to have for the guys, like golf simulators or whatever, they're planning like road trips. They were considering going to like courses. Like, did you hear that? Like a day off that they would like shuttle them to a golf course or whatever.
No, but it makes sense. You can't just have them staying in a hotel room 24/7, like hotel.
No.
Hotel arena. So
no, but I mean, as it gets down to it, like real quick, there'll be like only 8 teams left. So it won't be like, a lot of teams will be there for a short period of time and then out of there, right? But yeah, man, it should be interesting to see what happens. Now, not to play negative Nancy here, but considering training camps are going to be opening on Monday and they're all going to be going down in each city's like own city, right? Like as far as I know, every camp is being held in each individual city.
Yeah. So July 13th, training camps open, and then July 26th, all players travel to their hub cities.
Okay. So you don't think this is going to be a major problem in the United States? We got 6 Canadian teams that can do their camps in Canada. There might be some issues there, but I don't think there'll be a lot of issues with the 6 Canadian teams. The other 20 or 18 teams, I think there's going to be major fucking issues. All the camps in the States, like, come on, man.
How are they doing the camps? Like, is there, I don't know, is there some sort of protocol?
I don't know.
Like, do you have to, let's say Chicago. So does Chicago go to the arena and they tell the players, all right, you're all staying in a hotel for the next 2 weeks?
Well, you would
or
think that
did they
would
get
be
to
the
go
case.
home? Did they get to go to restaurants after? Did they get to go golfing on the weekends? Did they get to go to the grocery store?
Yeah, if that's the case, if it's option number 2, this thing is going to fucking fail like drastically, in my opinion. You can't be at the rink for camp during the day and then you're running out like in the pub with the general public wherever you are in Arizona. As like, think of some of the
places where it's like where they're having thousands of cases per day.
There's just
per
no
day.
No, I know. There's no way. So I'm hoping, and I haven't heard that, but I'm hoping that they would have like maybe a hotel scenario where, okay, for the 2 weeks of the camp, like if you're opting in, okay, there's by 2 p.m. on Monday, there's an opt-out clause, right? So the players that don't want to play, they have until 2 p.m. on Monday to say that they're not going to participate. Some guys have already come out and said they're not going to, but I think you'll have more that are kind of mulling it over this weekend. That will
anybody big that's coming not playing?
One of the Calgary defensemen, Roman Hammernick or whatever,
Travis Hammernick.
I don't know, whatever his fucking name is.
But he said family reasons.
Yeah, well, everybody. I mean, how many fucking guys will just say that? Like a newborn, or who the fuck knows, right? Like that's probably the case for a lot of dudes. But I don't know. I think the vote was like, they said yesterday, it was like 500 and something to.
Yeah, it was like 75% of the players voted for it.
Yeah, it was close to like a 500 for, 200 against type thing.
Yeah.
So 200 against is like, that's not a small
But a lot
number.
of that had to do with the CBA, because they were also voting on the 4-year CBA extension, which basically
escrow
flat, 20% escrow.
Yeah.
But that is like, I don't know, at this point, after going through the global pandemic and not knowing what's going to happen and finally getting back on the ice, I think if I made the money that these guys made, that would kind of be the last of my worries. Would be like, oh, the salary cap's flat and I have to pay more into escrow. I think I worried, like, if this kept going and the league lost a ton of money, how long can the NHL go before they're like, we've got to fold up shop and leave down?
I've thought the exact same thing. Like, you don't. Something is better than nothing, right? Like,
exactly.
If the league folds and all of a sudden you got to go play in Europe or whatever, like, I mean, it's crazy. But somebody like Austin and JT that are making 11, like, by the time they pay their taxes and they pay like escrow and all that shit, like, I haven't done the exact math, but I'm sure they're taking home, like, it would be closer to probably half of that. Do you not think?
Yeah, but can you live off $7 million?
Oh, it would. I think even whatever 5, 6 in that range, but they're not going to be seeing the $11 million. I don't think, when it's all said and done. They wouldn't anyway with tax, and I don't know what they pay in escrow right now.
And you know what? We've all been in those situations where it's a rough time, and you just got to take what you can get. You know, it's 2 a.m. You're all alone. You're waiting for a cab. You see a 70, 80-year-old woman on the corner, and
it's pushing a little bit, but
you just take what you can get.
I get what you're saying. Sometimes you got to go Cougar. That's just what you got to do, man.
But, well, I'm talking like Cougar's mom.
Yeah, a gilfs.
A gilf, good old gilf.
Don't really want to get into that territory, but it's
I'm just saying that's my metaphor for you know, when you got nothing, you got to take something.
Yeah,
you got to take something.
Hey, something's better than nothing. That's right.
Something's better than nothing.
100% agree.
If it's a guilt, whatever.
Yeah, whatever. Not the best case scenario, but you got to do what you got to do.
And this ain't the best case scenario either. People don't want to leave their families and go to Toronto and live in a hotel for 3 months. How long does it actually go all the way to the final?
Okay, like the Stanley Cup final will be played or over by the first week of October.
Oh, so that's 2 months.
Yeah, it'll be all of August. It'll be all of September and first week of October. I've got the dates, but I mean, I think the dates are like subject to change anyway, to be honest. Like,
yeah, and then everyone says subject to change, and the times are all to be determined because they're going to play like 12 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 4 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 8 o'clock.
Right. And that's not going to be like with overtime games, like game goes into double overtime, the next game gets pushed back by, if they're all doing it at the same arena. That's why I don't understand that they don't use like Coca-Cola Coliseum and Scotiabank. Like,
but it would be like if the first game was at 12 in Toronto, the next game wouldn't be till 4. So it would have to go double, triple overtime. But with no fans in the building, who gives a shit? You remember when you're playing when you're playing minor hockey tournaments and you're like all ready to go, and then the game in front of you goes into overtime, and you're just standing in your equipment and watching for 45 minutes. And
I agree.
Men's league guys come in because they have the ice at 10 o'clock.
you could have
going to be like.
You could have the Leafs scheduled to play the 8 p.m. game, and the game doesn't start until 10 or 11.
Yeah, so be it.
Well, yeah, I'm whatever. Like I'm just saying, like who at this point, I just want it to go, but I'm still skeptical because I feel like once camps open on Monday,
yeah,
things are trending this way in the States, not this way. This way in Canada, this way in the States.
Yeah.
Most of the teams,
for people listening on podcasts, he's pointing up.
Oh shit, I forgot. That was my first on-camera mistake.
That was your first on-camera mistake. People listening on the podcast, he's pointing up.
Things I could have yeah.
Things are going up.
That's sorry. Hey man, first time doing it this way, right? So gonna run into some kinks, but
and it's not like this way, like it is like this.
Yeah, it's almost like straight up.
It's just straight up.
But
they're gonna get it under control. I know it.
Oh, I have there's not an ounce of confidence in my body that thinks they're gonna get it under control.
No.
It's like zero.
Well, you have to.
Sorry, American listeners, but come on.
You have to have a plan in place. Like you have to actually have like some sort. This is exactly what happens when you have no plan and you're just winging it. You go this way. That's what's happening down in the States.
What way was that?
This way.
Yeah, I know. That's what I did. Up. We're talking about up, folks.
Talking about up.
One country's going up, one's going down. Can you figure out what they are?
One country's going up, one world is going down.
Well, that's true. That's true. But okay, so here's the thing. Like, think of all the camps opening in the States on Monday. Like, do you not think they're going to run into some major fucking problems down there? You're going to have tons of players testing positive. I think tons of them.
Have they all been tested, or they will test first day of training camp?
I don't know if they've all been tested yet or not. I don't know.
And they all have to test, right?
Oh, I think they're testing
every day.
I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, you were going to have.
There's going to be tons of players that test positive. So you just ignore the positive test because we've got a 2-week window here before the first exhibition games are played on like July 30th or whatever. So just ignore the positive test and like, okay, those guys are taken away, but everything else just keeps rolling. Is that what they're going to do?
Oh, God. I guess, yeah, you just keep taking the players away until you don't have enough players.
But how many teams are going to be like, okay, fuck, we've got 10 guys positive. We got to shut it down.
They'll have to deal with that if that happens.
Like, what are they going to do?
And apparently if you break any sort of curfew, you're gone.
So, like, it's all fine and good that, like, they new CBA, the players signed off, the league signed off. Like, it's all good that they've got this return to play situation in place. And I'm excited. I hope it does happen. I think and like I said earlier off the top, if any of the professional leagues is, I think, going to succeed at return to play, I think it's going to be hockey has a better chance than all the other teams because they've chosen to play in Canada.
Yeah.
But
like the NBA in Orlando, that's a hotbed right now for COVID.
No, I know. The ML or whatever it is, professional soccer. MSL or whatever it is. MLS is down there too. Whatever. I don't watch soccer, but
baseball wants to just have no fans, but continue to travel from city to city to city.
How the fuck is that gonna work out? How the fuck is that gonna work? So
yeah, you're right. Like we said, Jerry made the right decision. He picked Toronto and Edmonton. He picked 2 Canadian cities. He picked 2 places where the numbers are low. This could actually go forward.
I think it's got
the players get through
best
training
chance.
camp, and we have enough players to test negative, and everyone social distances and keeps in the bubble of the hub cities. They could do this. They can get this done.
I truly believe the NHL has the best chance to succeed if they get to the hubs. It's going to be between Monday and the 26th of July that is concerning to me. I think that's going to could be big time trouble. Big time trouble.
Well, if it does happen and they do go forward, let's talk about it.
Okay.
Let's talk about actual hockey.
Well,
so first off, Austin Matthews.
Haven't heard
testing
of Pete.
positive for COVID-19.
Oh, we haven't done one since
We
Steve
haven't
Simmons.
done one since
Douchebag.
douche. Yeah,
I have
douchebag
no.
Steve Simmons.
Yeah,
Steve Simmons.
I have no problem calling him a douchebag. He is
No,
a
Steve
fucking
Simmons.
douchebag.
And you know what? All these Sun reporters coming onto Twitter being like, "Stop bashing Steve Simmons. He's a great person and he's a great journalist."
Bullshit.
It's
He's
like,
a terrible journalist and he's a terrible person. He's not either. He's not good at either one of those things. He's not good at being a good person, and he's
go
not
back
a good
and look
journalist
at all his stories, and all you find are these fucking shit jobs that he does for clickbait, like the Phil Kessel hot dog story, and fucking.
That one might have been true though, but
it might have been true. But why? Why do you need to post that?
And look, the Matthews thing, I believe it was. I believe it was true. I believe what he reported was true.
I totally believe it. But why is Matthews the only player named?
Well, you know why.
I know why, but in every sports league, like they've just been keeping it private. It's medical information. It's private. So they've just been, a player on this team has tested positive for COVID. But when it comes to Austin Matthews and the Toronto Maple Leafs, Steve Simmons comes out and names him. Austin Matthews tests positive for COVID-19. That's his privacy.
No, I know. And I think they should fucking sue his ass big time. If there's any type of lawsuit there, I'd go after him big time.
And he's done.
He'll never be welcome around the fucking Leafs team ever again. Like
here will be him he'll be that guy, like, the kid in class who has his hand up all the time, who wants the teacher to pick him, and the teacher just goes around him. That's going to be him at the press conferences after the game. Like Sheldon Keefe is just going to stand there.
I know.
And pick every reporter, and he's not. Are you going to fucking give that guy time of day?
No. Like Kyle's such a nice guy with everybody. Like he calls the media by he's just such a nice dude. Like he calls all the media by like their first names, and just he's very articulate in the way.
That's actually a psychological trick.
Oh, Kyle's
when you call people by their first name, they feel comfortable and they like you.
Oh, dude,
and then they just naturally are nicer to you.
One thing I know Kyle Dubas is not is stupid. He knows exactly, like he knows what he's doing. But he's a nice, like I just think he's a nice guy in general. Like he's a nice legitimately.
Guy, but I'm sure behind doors he said Steve Simmons is a cocksucker.
Oh, and I hope that he flips his tune a bit when it comes to Steve Simmons. And it's like, Steve, like seriously, you don't have to be Mr. Nice Guy all the time. Like, I don't know. Anyway, still haven't heard.
Matthews has COVID. We haven't heard anything.
No. But his time would be like, his 2 weeks would be like, that was over 2 weeks ago. So, and he was asymptomatic apparently anyway, is what quote unquote they were saying. But,
so he'll be on his way to the Pornhub city.
I imagine, I imagine he would be.
Because it'd be really tough to win a Stanley Cup without him. We're going to need Austin Matthews on the team.
I reported last night on our Facebook and Instagram that the mustache will return. So
I saw that.
So I'm hoping
where did you get that little?
I got little secrets here and there.
That little video of him swooshing around.
Yeah, man. He's just letting everybody know that he's like, I will be back. I will be back.
Excuse me?
The mustache will return.
Is your pipe leaking?
But
he heard it tip in the distance.
That's right. That's exactly.
He's like,
right.
What? But anyway, if Austin Matthews comes back from COVID-19, which he will, he's fine.
Yeah,
the Leafs are going to get Columbus.
They got to get him from Arizona to Toronto though. Like that should be a top priority. I wish he would have been out of there.
You should put him in a bubble, roll him to the airport.
Yeah,
put him on a private charter full of Lysol wipes.
Oh yeah.
Fly him to Toronto, and then he's safe.
Yeah, I think so too.
So they're going to play Columbus. First game tentatively August 2nd, 8 p.m.
Do you want to stop talking about? Do you want to say anything else more about Steve Simmons? Because I think we didn't really get into enough about how big a dick he fucking really is.
My beef with Steve Simmons, quickly, is I heard him on the radio after, and we should point this out. For all you Overdrive listeners on TSN, they pulled that interview from all their platforms, their websites, their podcasts. It's off Spotify. It's off Apple, everything. So they had Steve Simmons on after the interview broke.
20-minute segment right off the top of the show.
Right off the top of the show. And he came on, and first of all, every time he's on the radio, I hate it. I can hear every little thing. I can hear him like chewing or swallowing, and he like he's like this, and he eats the microphone.
It's literally like nails down a chalkboard. It's terrible.
His whole voice, everything.
Him, and I'll let you continue, but he went on First Up a couple times since he made that announcement, and it was Landsberg, like Koliakova was away, and it was Landsberg and Simmons. Oh my goodness. Oh, I'm not a fan of Landsberg, and I'm not a fan of Simmons. I only listen to First Up sometimes because of Carlo. If it was just Landsberg, I would never listen to that fucking shit. No, I don't know do you like Landsberg? I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan.
He's actually grown on me in the last little while. I didn't like him for the longest time, and I thought he at the beginning kind of treated Carlo like shit. Like
I just think he's too like he comes across full of himself. I think.
Yeah, he's egocentric,
big time.
But I think he's really warmed up, and I think Carlo's kind of taken.
Well, Carlos is just happy to be there, I think. But I
think he's actually taken a big role on the show. He's kind of stood up for himself and kind of taken.
Well, for sure.
The show.
Like don't get me wrong, Landsberg does a lot of good things, like mental health wise, and he does a lot of good things in the community. I just can't stand his fucking sports talk. But anyway,
yeah,
Simmons and Landsberg together, not a good combination.
Landsberg always talks about himself. Like he always talks about stories about himself, and I'm like, I love it when the old NHL players do that.
But he'll have guys like Carlo will be talking with like I think Aaron Koronik is one of the guys that works like behind the scenes on that show or whatever. Like and even his son, I forget his name, Landsberg, Corey Landsberg works on that show too. And anyway, when like sometimes they'll. Without Michael being involved, Carlo and his son Corey or the other guy, Aaron Koronik, will get into like a golf conversation and they'll be talking about like their own golf games. And Landsberg is the first to butt in, being like no one wants to hear you guys talk about your own golf games. Like no one cares. No one wants to hear that. But you just said like he's the first to jump about talking like.
Oh, he always talks about his interviews and his run-ins. Yeah. But anyway, enough about Landsberg.
I just wanted to say the overdrive thing, but in relation to that,
he was on there for a week. Did he say anything?
He didn't say any. I guarantee you, he was told not to fucking say anything about it by the higher ups. And Landsberg made a couple comments about reporters reporting things that they shouldn't be Like. It almost felt like he was talking directly to him, but he didn't mention Steve Simmons, but he was talking about guys reporting people having COVID-19 when the athletes don't want their names released. He's like, it should be up to them whether they want to or whether they want the information out there or whether they don't. And Steve Simmons just sat there like quiet as a fucking mouse, didn't say a fucking peep, right? But
so maybe TSN told them like you should say this.
Maybe
like you should push Steve Simmons that it was his call, not because he's a TSN employee.
I thought it was interesting because it sounded to me that like Landsberg was talking exactly about Steve Simmons, but he didn't say Steve Simmons.
That's what pissed me off about the whole thing. He came on to the interview with Overdrive, and he basically you can't even find the interview anymore. But he basically said he got two sources to confirm it. He called the Leafs. The Leafs told him about the Privacy Act that the NHL had not naming players with COVID-19. And they had no comment. And he went to his boss, and I guess they said, "Oh, well, we're going to get sued. Like something's going to happen." So they talked to the lawyers, and the lawyers are like, "You can run it, but
his main employer is the Sun, the Toronto Sun."
Yeah, so he went to the Toronto Sun, and they told him.
But he every now and then he'll do hits for TSN.
He's probably an independent contractor for TSN.
Right. Like Festchuk and like
the point is, he had multiple opportunities to not name the player.
Oh fuck!
And he went out of his way to name Austin Matthews. Like he got lawyers involved and everything. He could have ran the story. Leaf superstar has COVID-19. We could have figured it out for ourselves, but he never named the player.
Right.
But he went out of his way so that he could post on Twitter, Austin Matthews has COVID-19 with a link to his story.
There was, I don't know if you caught this or not, a couple days or maybe even a week before Steve Simmons came out with this story, there was reports that quote unquote, high profile players in the Arizona area had tested positive for COVID-19. They weren't specifically saying that they played for the Arizona Coyotes. The report just said high profile players in the Arizona area have tested positive for COVID-19. My mind didn't, but I didn't correlate that with Austin Matthews. I talked to my brother about it, and he's like, "Do you think that's Austin Matthews?" And I'm like, "I don't know. I'm like, maybe, but like, are they talking?"
But you think they have like an NFL team and all that stuff? You're like, it could be anybody,
right? So anyway, so I didn't really think anything of it, and then Steve Simmons came out with his fucking douchebag reporting, and away it is. But anyway, that story kind of went away real quick, did it not? Like,
well, we were talking the 2 days after the story broke and after he did the interview on Overdrive, and you said, I can't find the interview. And I'm like, it's on their podcast. You can go download it. And you're like, I can't find it. And then we started searching.
Chad, I tried to literally find it like later that night and it was gone.
Yeah. So we started searching. I happened to listen to it live, but we started searching everything. Internet.
I listened to it live too, but I wanted to go back and listen to it again. And it was gone like right away, within a couple hours.
The next day, I listened to it again on their podcast.
Okay.
Or maybe I listened to it that night. But I did listen to it on Apple Podcast because I told you, I said, it's on Apple Podcast. You just got to go find it.
Yeah, no.
And then I went back. I had it in my download list. It was deleted from my downloads.
Yeah.
It just disappeared. Like it never existed.
Because the Leafs, maybe they were waiting to see if the Leafs would confirm or if Austin would make a comment. None of those two things happened.
The Leafs told them, they're like, there is a policy in the NHL. It is up to the players if they want to come forward, but it's their privacy. It's their medical shit. Like you can't.
So bottom line, fuck Steve Simmons. That's the whole deal here. But
you are not welcome on the Tippin' Podcast.
No, fuck that guy. Actually, we're going to have an interview in the near future of like everybody we can possibly get on that fucking hates Steve Simmons.
Yeah.
Former players, whoever we can get. We're just going to have a fuck Steve Simmons day.
We're going to go and socially distanced drink on Steve Simmons' front lawn.
I don't know if I ever told you this. I ran into him at the Taste of Little Italy a couple summers ago.
Oh, man, I used to see him all the time in Toronto.
Okay,
go ahead.
So, I didn't go out of my way to be like, I don't like the guy. So I didn't go out of my way to be like, oh, Steve Simmons, I love your reporting, like blah, blah, blah. I'm just like, he was with his wife. They were just walking around. He's a big guy. Tall wise. Like he's a fairly large dude, but I was close enough that I was like, I could hear him talking with his wife and I'm just his fucking annoying voice. And I wanted to say like, just, I wanted to say something negative. I wanted to say something really bad, but I didn't. He's with his wife. I just let it go, but I'm just like, this fucking guy. That was it. That's
mumbled under your breath.
Yeah. I mumbled under my breath. This motherfucker.
So the Leafs, the hockey.
Okay.
So here's how it's going to work. The Leafs are going to play Columbus on August 2nd, tentatively.
Sunday, second day back.
At 8 p.m. They're going to be the late game. It looks like they are going to take the 8 p.m. game the whole way through.
Yeah, it looks that way.
So like you say, if the game before goes into triple overtime, the Leaf game might not start till 10 or 11. But I don't care. How great is it if this does go through that just all day, every day for August and September, just have Sportsnet in the background with just hockey.
The first 10 days are going to be insane. There's like 5 or 6 games a day every day.
Have you watched any other sports that have come back playing with no fans? Have you watched any of the soccer?
I haven't. No.
I've seen UFC.
I've seen. Yeah, I have. Yeah, I did watch a couple of the UFC.
What is it like with?
I have.
No fans?
No, you can't. The UFC, you can't tell. Like they just darken out everything. You can't like.
But is it quiet?
Well, like they've still got like the training staff there and whatever, and like, you hear the announcer. So it's still, to me, it doesn't bother me. Like I'm almost like, I don't care. Like at this point, it doesn't. The fans are completely irrelevant to me. I don't give a shit. I don't think it has affected any of the UFC fights. I haven't watched any soccer games, but I've seen highlights, and they've kind of put like mannequins or puppets or cardboard cutouts in some of the fucking stands.
They've been on the TV broadcast. They've been pumping in
crowd noise,
the fan audio. So like the one thing I saw is like their players are going across. You know how they do the wide shot of the field, but you can see maybe 10, 15 seats.
Yeah.
And you're right. They have things in the first few rows, but then they have all these empty seats, but all you can hear is ole, 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 ole.
Yeah.
Like,
well, that's kind of cool.
50,000 people.
But they can't hear that in the arena. You can only hear that at home.
No, and actually some of the soccer players I read have said they can't, like they're having trouble performing at their best level because it just feels weird.
Well, okay, so
to be playing out there. And same with the PGA. Some of the PGA guys have said it's throwing their game off. You get so focused and you're so used to having like lines of people. This is what the golfers are saying.
I'll tell you, I'd rather
out there. I know we'd rather because we shank it and we'd hit someone in the head.
I just feel like anybody, professional or not, golfer would feel a lot more comfortable the less people there than the more. Like
I don't know. I think some people thrive on the attention, on the atmosphere. They get up for it. The crowd, the
fair enough. But when you're up, like if we're talking PGA style, when you're up, like this putt is going to either make me $1 million or it's not. I don't give a fuck if there's anybody there or not. Like
that's true. Yeah, I guess with PGA it's a little different. But you can imagine the NHL playoffs. It must be something when it's game one of the Stanley Cup playoffs and you have like Maple Leaf Squares packed and the arena's pumping. And now you're going to go in and there's going to be like one guy in a jumpsuit just being like, yeah.
No, you know what though? Hey,
yeah,
it is what it is. If they can get things up and running again, I'm okay with the no fans thing. Will it affect the games? That's the thing. In the NBA and the NHL specifically, will it affect the games? I think it might to an extent where, like, I don't think the guys aren't going to try and all this, but will it affect, like, the pace? Will it affect just the overall – obviously, it'll affect the atmosphere. But, I don't know. Are you going to see – I don't think you're going to see – I think this is going to – if this goes, I think you're going to see a very different NBA playoffs and a very different NHL playoffs than ever before. I'm just game-wise. I don't think the physicality will be what it normally is. That's just my personal opinion. I think guys will be a little less or a little more tentative and not be like, I'm going to hammer this guy knowing that someone's going to come after me. And then all of a sudden we're going to be like faced, even though the testing is there. Like, I don't know. Do you not think it's going to be a little stripped down in both sports?
Yeah, it is. It's not just going to be stripped down. It's going to be, I don't know. These players have, since they were teenagers, had completely packed arenas watching them. So it's gonna be very different to see. But like you say, they're professional.
If this goes ahead, I truly believe it's going to be speed and skill that wins out here. The rough and tumble, the Bruins, and whoever these teams think that are fucking hot, tough shit. I don't see them. I just don't see.
You know what? You're kind of right, because a lot of the way the Bruins play, especially at home, where you get Marchand getting a little dirty and it gets the fans going. Like if Marchand's out there doing his shit and getting in your face and stuff, and there's nobody in the crowd, and it's just crickets, it's going to seem stupid. But like, when you go out and play hockey with your friends, speed and skill, man. You don't even know who's watching you. If you're flying, if you're scoring, you feel great.
Yeah.
You do the other shit for the people watching. You lick people's faces for the fans.
No, and they haven't said anything in regards to rule changes, like about because I heard these things possibly that were being bantered around, like, no scrums after the whistle.
No licking people's faces.
Yeah, that should be a fucking given. But I don't think that. I think they just want them to play how they usually play. But I don't think they will play how they usually play. That's just my personal opinion. Maybe they will.
You think they'll be timid?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, of course. How could you not be? I would be. I don't think I wouldn't go in.
Because you know that everyone's testing every day.
Right. Especially knowing, like, if I play for the Leafs and I know I'm playing a team that's just coming up, like, I don't know what the numbers are in Columbus, but, do I want to be, like, hugging these guys in the corner? Not particularly. Even if they pass negative, okay, great. Like, fine. It's still, like, playing a team from the States.
Scrum, you might see less scrums and face washing, things like that. And if that's the case, that's going to benefit the Leafs. If the game is more about, like you say, speed and skill and scoring goals, than it is about getting close and hooking and grabbing. And
they were talking,
totally going to benefit the Leafs.
Like, have you heard? Oh, for sure it should. Have you heard they were talking about, like, okay, you can't spit, like, you have to swallow the water. You're not allowed to spit, like, water out anymore. A lot of guys will, like, a couple sips and then spit. Oh my God. Right?
Have you watched the close-ups on the bench? It's just.
Yeah. Like, I don't think they want them doing that anymore. Can they say, like, I don't know. I haven't heard for sure.
You can't tell someone not to spit. I think they would do it subconsciously. That's all they do is
then spit. Maybe you got to spit, like, on the bench. If you're going to spit, like, down by your skates, like, you can't spit over the boards onto the fucking ice.
God,
I don't know. It's an airborne virus, right? Like, you want guys spitting fucking all the time? Like, you want 20 guys, you want 20 or 40 guys, 2 teams, like, all spitting, like, all game long? Probably not the most ideal situation.
That's what they do.
I know, but I don't know. I personally would find it hard playing hockey and not spitting. Like, I've played hockey most of my life, and I would, like, drink water and spit. It's just maybe it's got something to do with me, like, being a smoker for a majority of years in my life, where, like, I gotta fucking spit's coming. I ain't swallowing that shit. Like, I'm spitting.
Yeah. Yeah. No.
So yeah, it's a tough game to play without spitting, but. I don't know, man. It's not an ideal situation. You want to be sitting beside a guy or, like, whatever, and they're, like, hawking all over the fucking place? Not particularly nowadays, but.
No. But at the same time, there's got to be something they can do. Right? Like, it's such a small thing. Hey, don't spit on the ice.
Don't spit on the ice.
That's it.
Pass the bucket down the bench.
Pass the bucket or swallow your spit.
Right.
That's it. Yeah. Like, can you do that? Can you do that for 2.5 hours?
Yeah,
I know, like, probably 1,000 times a night they spit.
Oh, dude.
But they do it all the time. Like, even when they zoom in on, if you're watching on TV, they zoom in on the face-off circle. Like, the guy will be, like, skating up to the face-off circle and be like,
oh, 100%,
just spitting the whole time. So that might be a tough. I never even thought about shit like that.
With the NHL, in regards to, like they wear the most protective equipment out of any professional sport, right? Yeah. Unless you drop the gloves to fight somebody, like, you're not even coming into skin-to-skin contact with another player the entire game.
No, I was having that conversation the other day about someone was saying the NHL can't come back because it's too close because they hit and stuff. And I was like, what about the NBA?
No, that's where I was going to go with this. Yeah. So with the NHL, I think the NHL again has the best chance to succeed here because there's no skin-to-skin contact with anybody else. Okay, fair enough, but you're not like.
But like in basketball, your whole thing, you're sweaty, skin to skin. Like you're doing picks, you're rolling picks.
Everybody in the game touches the same fucking ball. How many times a game? Are they going to be changing the ball every whistle?
And then they're constantly wiping their face with their shirts and their hands. And then they're constantly touching each other.
Yeah. So I feel like I feel like the NBA, every other league, I feel like has a lesser chance of succeeding with return.
I never thought about that. They never, and they would in the NHL they wear gloves. And there's not a ball that they all touch. They all have their own stick. And
if you're playing in an NBA playoff game, everybody on that court is touching the ball at one point or another.
Yeah.
So unless you're changing the ball every whistle, which might be a smart thing to do.
But still, if the play goes on for 3-4 minutes,
no, I know
every guy on the floor could touch that ball.
Yeah, 100%. I can see a lot of NBA guys opting out, to be honest, because of the location. And just because of the way the sport is played.
Have any opted out yet?
I think some have, but not like high profile. One of the guys that plays for the Indiana Pacers, one of their best players, said he's not going. I can't remember his name. But and maybe the Brooklyn Nets are like really most of their team is not even showing up. And that could be the Raptors' first round matchup is Brooklyn. So they could just cakewalk them. Like, I don't think anyway. So
is that because New York had such high numbers?
I don't know. I think a lot of the guys are just like, I'm not sure what exactly the deal is, but I heard reports that the Nets were like, a lot of the Nets guys are not interested in coming to play. The Raptors are all there. So I hope the NBA does do this, because I think this is like legitimately the Raptors, like, you know, if you're going to do it again, this is it.
Yeah.
Unless something happens, like they sign Giannis like down the road and like they would be a legitimate contender every fucking year. But if that doesn't happen, I think the Raps will still be a good team, but I don't know if they'll be like a championship team. This year, I believe they are. So the only team I think that can beat them in the East is Milwaukee, and I'm not even sure that Milwaukee can beat them. So with or without Kawhi. So I'm glad that the NBA is going to give it a go, because it would have been shitty to see the Raptors not at least have a fucking chance to do it again.
At least they got to do it.
At least they got to do it, but they could do it again.
Imagine this was last year.
Are you convinced that – who's to say that LeBron doesn't go down with COVID and the fucking Lakers – or okay, who are you worried about in the West for the Raps? The Clippers and the Lakers?
Yeah.
Like, is there anybody else?
No.
And
what if the Raptors get COVID?
Well, yeah, okay, fair enough.
Like, it can happen to anybody, right? But bringing it back to the Leafs, what do you think? Do you think the chances are better for the Canadian teams because they're in Canada? Like, if the players are here?
Yeah.
Do you think by the time we get to July 26th that some of the American teams whose players have stayed in the States over this time, there may be a lot of them who already have COVID? Like, could you imagine the Bruins coming in and
haven't been tested yet type thing?
Yeah, and they come in and they're like, oh, Bergeron has COVID. Chara has COVID. Like, just like Austin Matthews, asymptomatic, no sign of it.
Yeah.
Whatever, but got it.
I don't know what kind of testing has already been done for the players that have been at the facility. Like, the majority of the Leafs, with the exception of Austin and maybe a couple of other guys, have already been in Toronto for the last like fucking 2 or 3 weeks, right? Or longer, skating in groups of whatever it was, originally 6 and I think now up to 10 or whatever. So are they being tested every day?
I don't know.
I kind of think they are. If you're there at the facility every day, I think they are testing them.
Yeah.
But
if any team has the capability of doing that, the Leafs would have the capability of running tests.
I think they have been doing that, but I'm pretty sure the Leafs are, if not the only team, one of the only teams in the league that have had that many guys at their practice facility that early in advance. They've almost had the whole team there for the last 2 weeks. So, like, most other teams have some guys there, but nobody as close to the numbers as the Leafs have. Most teams their guys will be showing up for the first time on Monday.
Yeah.
So getting tested for the first time on Monday. So how many tests of those are going to be fucking positive?
That's what I'm saying.
I guarantee you a lot.
Especially in the States. Like, if you've been in Calgary this whole time, like if the pandemic hit in March and you're a Calgary Flame, you were playing in Calgary at the time.
Yeah, yeah.
And all of a sudden they went into lockdown. So you and your family are like, oh, well, we'll just stay here. We won't go to our summer home. We're not going to go to the Bahamas. We're going to stay in Calgary. There is a really good chance you didn't get COVID.
Sure.
But if you play in Arizona, if you play in Chicago, if you play in Florida, if you play in New York, and you've been in lockdown for 3 months in these American cities, and now you're going to get tested, it could be fucking crazy. This week, we could find out that like 100 NHL players have tested positive for COVID-19.
Wouldn't surprise me.
Like,
wouldn't surprise me.
What is it in the States?
Might be less than that, but it might be. It could be that. Could be more than that. Who knows?
It was. I read today. In the States, they have 160 people with the virus per 1 million, which doesn't sound like a whole lot, but they have 360 million people.
Yeah, so that's
a lot
crazy.
of cases.
Oh yeah.
The next closest, well, Brazil is close to them, but we take Brazil out of it because they're just a fucking mess. But outside of that, like Europe, Canada, all that, Europe was next closest, and that's because of the big hits and the different parts that they've had. Like Sweden tried to do herd immunity and stuff. 9 per 1 million. 9.
Yeah.
The states are 160 per 1 million. The next closest is 9 per 1 million.
Well, dude,
that's ridiculous.
It is, but look at the way they've run business down there. Open everything up. Okay, things are open here, but not like you can't go into a restaurant and eat. You can go out to a patio and have a beer and something to eat if you want, but they're not putting tables right beside each other. They're still keeping the social distancing into effect. In the States, inside, outside, whatever, all kinds of other businesses are open. Yeah. The whole non-mask mentality, like, oh, my freedom, it's my choice, it's my choice. Yeah, okay. It's your choice, Republicans, when you don't want to wear a fucking mask, but those people that don't want to have a baby and get into that fucking, it's not their choice when a person wants to have.
Well, that's taking it extreme. I look at it just from the minor point of view of, you know, you have to wear a seatbelt so that you don't go flying through the windshield if you get into a car accident.
Right.
You have to put on a shirt and shoes to come into a restaurant so that you don't gross everybody out with your dirty body.
Right.
Well, now during a global pandemic and not forever, you have to wear a mask. And they're just like, oh my God.
Look, man, it's not like,
so if you don't need a mask, then you don't need a gun. That should be the thing in the States. If you don't need a mask, then you don't need a gun. So you don't have to wear masks. Give away all your guns.
That's right. Yeah, that's how they look at it, basically. But I just find it funny, all these Trump supporters and the Republicans specifically that are like losing their minds for potentially having to wear a mask, like losing their shit. My choice. I can make the choice. You can't tell me what to do. You can't tell me what to do. It's my choice whether or not I want to or not. Are the same fucking people that are literally like the pro-life. They're the pro-lifers. They're the same.
But not even
people.
Just pro-life. They're the ones that are constantly telling people what to do. And the funny thing is, every day you get up, you live in a world where you have to do things. Like, I know we have freedom and everything, but like, I can't get up and just be like, you know what? I feel like getting a Diet Coke from the store and just going naked down the street to the store.
That would be pretty awesome.
I can't just put a big tarp in my front yard and start playing porn all day on a big thing. I can't shoot, I can't just walk out and shoot some dude in the head. Like, there are laws.
No, I know, man. I know.
And right now, the thing that they don't get, it's a global pandemic, and it's not.
It's fun. It's funny though. All those things you just mentioned, kind of in the States, that kind of shit is like that kind of is everyday business down there.
Yeah, I know.
So
maybe that's why
you can just walk out and shoot someone.
Maybe they really do have freedom.
Yeah.
But anyway, getting off the political shit.
Yeah. It's just so hard to nowadays, man, because it's so intertwined with everything that's going on, right? Like, everything is.
Yeah, that's because the whole world is looking at the States right now
as a fucking shit show.
Everything around them. Like, we're talking about the NHL, and we're Leaf fans, and we're worried that this might not happen
because of America.
Can't get their shit together.
Yeah.
And like, the world economy is looking at the States being like, well, we need you in this, but we can't open the borders and start doing business with you because you can't get your shit together.
Dude, the only way that this return to play doesn't happen, the only way it doesn't happen will be the teams in the States, their training camps fail miserably. Like, to a point where half of them have to be shut down, and then it's like, well, we can't realistically go to the hub cities by the 26th. So what are we going to push it back another month? I don't think so. Like, that's the next step. Like, I am all for the return to play. Like, let's make it happen, and we'll see what happens. Anyway, okay, that's out of our hands. Like, I guarantee you a lot of people are going to test positive. Come Monday, a lot of players that report to camp are going to test positive. I guarantee it. Don't know what the number will be, but we'll see what happens. Going beyond that, some of the future dates. So return to play, like Hub City's 26, couple exhibition games. Leafs are supposed to play their first game on the Sunday night, the second, and then they'll be playing every other night. Game 4 will be played on a back-to-back. If it goes 4 games, game 4.
Yeah, I saw that.
Be played their night right after the third game. So, but whatever. I don't think
I thought
that's an
there would
issue
be a lot more back-to-backs. I thought they were going to try to cram this thing and get it done.
Shouldn't be an issue. They haven't played games in so
weeks.
long, and there's no travel. They're literally walking up the road and they're probably not even walking. So I don't know how they're getting to the Royal York from the Scotiabank.
Well, that's why I thought there'd be more back-to-back games. There's no flights. But anyway,
no, I know.
Next topic. So you have some dates.
Yeah, I mean, we all kind of know, like, the camps are opening Monday. The Hub Cities on the 26th of July. They're going to play a couple exhibition games on the 28th to the 30th, every team. And then qualifying round will get going on the 1st. The second draft lottery will happen on the 10th because the qualifying teams that lose will be out. So we'll find out who gets the first pick. The actual first round begins on the 11th of August. And then Stanley Cup finals, conference finals will begin like a week into September, Stanley Cup final towards the end of September, and then Stanley Cup final to wrap up in the first week of October. And then, like, right after the Cup final ends, they're going to go to the draft, like, literally less than a week later, they're going to go right to the draft. And then in October, so like October 9th or 10th, they're planning on doing the draft. And then November 1st will be free agent frenzy. So the Cup will be won in early October. The draft will be like a week later. I don't know if they're going to fit the awards in there. I haven't seen that yet. But no, free agent frenzy on November 1st. And then their plan is to open camp, I believe, November 17th, I think, with a hopeful start date for next season, December 1st. That seems
And would it be an 82 game season starting December 1st?
That's what they're going for. No all-star game, no bye weeks.
Just right into it.
Right into it. So you'd be looking at,
and then hopefully by 2021, 2022.
Well, I would go even as early as the following season. Like, 2021, 2022. Like,
you're back starting in September.
You skip the All-Star game, skip the bye weeks. You're missing 2 weeks there. And then, you'd probably start the playoffs around May, like the middle of May instead of the beginning of April. So you're backed up a little bit, but you go 2 months from the middle of May to the middle of June to the middle of July. You could have a cup winner by the first week of August. All of a sudden, maybe it takes a couple years. Then maybe they start November 1st. And then the fall, maybe it takes 3 years to get them back to October 1st. But personally, I would skip the 82 games because the guys, I don't know. I just would skip the 82 game schedule. That's what I would do personally. I don't see a need. Play 62 and just start the playoffs in fucking April and get back on track right away. You can kill 20 games, no fucking problem. That's like a month in, I don't know.
Yeah,
that's what I would do.
You're just trying to shave off as much as you can.
How many guys are going to get injured?
You're going to training camp like you say, near the end of September and cut it down. Do you need to do all those pre-games? You remember the Leafs would play like tons of exhibition games? And
Fuck the exhibition games.
Enough is enough.
Play 4. They play. Each team plays 8 exhibition games. Play 4. Play 4.
Play 2.
Play 2.
Or don't
play 2. Like, I get it. Like, it gives the teams a look at, like, the, potential guys that are maybe fighting for spots.
1 year, you don't get it.
No, well, yeah, exactly. Like,
you got training camp and then
you got to finish. You got to figure those things out in inter squad games. Like, you just do. Or you give a kid a chance that you think can do it, and you give him a couple regular season games to see if you want to keep him or not. But anyway, okay. So anyway, those are the dates. So they're hoping for free agency will be on November 1st, and they want to start next season December 1st. I guess we'll see. So there's not going to be a time off. Once we get going here, we're basically going to be going like, dude, We're going to be doing a lot of podcasts. There's not going to be there's not going to be any time.
We've had a good break. Hasn't been a whole lot to talk about.
It feels like it flew by though. Like it doesn't seem like it's been as long as it's been. I guess
2020 has been the weirdest year.
Oh hell!
It's been super quick, but it's also felt super long. Like we were talking about this the other day. A few days before the lockdown, we had everybody over to our house for a dinner, and that feels like 10 years ago. But at the same time, March to July just flew by.
Yeah, I agree.
It went so quick. But yet, when I think back to before the pandemic, it seems like forever ago. It's a weird year.
Like, depending on how far the Leafs go, we'll have time off. But if they go on a run, then we won't. Like, from when this thing starts in, basically Monday, training camp, exhibition games, the playoffs, right up until someone wins the cup in October. And then, like I said, the draft is going to be literally right after the fucking playoffs ends. The awards, I don't really give a shit about the awards, but then free agency on November 1st. So you might have a 2-week period there between like free agency and when the cup, or from the draft and free agency, there'll be like a 2-week period there where we can like lay off for a bit. But then free agency, November 1st, they want camp to open on like November 17th. We're like, dude, like there'll be, depending on how far the Leafs go, there'll be like a couple weeks here, a couple weeks there, where like we won't be doing any podcasts. Other than that, it's going to be like, we're going to be on like the biggest stretch we've done since we started doing this thing.
We're going to have to figure out how to use this fucking Zoom.
Yeah, that's true. We really picked the right time to start the Zoom.
That we're filming on YouTube, letting everyone see us. No one's ever saw us before.
No, first time.
We've never posted a picture. Other podcasts like to post their pictures all the time. We don't do that.
Took us 2 years.
2 years to show you how handsome we are.
2 years, but now we're in the game and you can see our sick, perverted selves for yourself.
This is what we are.
Yeah, man. Chad's got the retro Leafs jersey hanging in the back there. I like that. Some classic shit. These backdrops will probably change as we get going a little better.
I got some Beatles memorabilia.
Yeah, Beatles.
I don't know if you can see this picture that I'm pointing at right here. And you can't see it on the podcast, but it says it is a poster from the Beatles playing at Maple Leaf Gardens. And it says awesome. Tickets on sale here. Matinee show 2 p.m., 4 p.m., night show 8 p.m.
Wow.
Guess how much tickets were?
I wouldn't even know. I don't know. What year are we talking here?
Sorry, I read that wrong. It said not 2 p.m., 4 p.m., 8 p.m. It says 2 shows, 4 p.m., 8 p.m.
Okay, what time we talking? Or not what time? Like what year? What year?
I can't read it. It's so dark.
Okay. Anyway. Can you see the price though?
Yeah, I can see the price.
All right. What? $8?
$5 to see the Beatles at Maple Leaf Gardens.
Crazy.
2 shows.
Two shows a day, eh? Like
4 p.m. and 8 p.m.
Man, that would have been something to see.
Yeah. So there you go. That was how it was back in the day.
Yeah. So our our backdrops might change.
And then this picture I have behind me, you can't see it on the podcast, is Bill Barocco.
Nice.
He disappeared that summer.
I've got over here on this wall that I'm pointing to, which again you can't see if you're listening to the podcast. We're just trying to figure out the Zoom thing. I've got two big things of John Lennon directly over here on this wall. But they'll make an appearance on another.
When I move my head, you can see John Lennon.
I see him there. I've got some lyrics and a big picture of him.
See my music stand and my guitar.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But anyway, for all you people listening, being like, stop pointing at shit that we
I know, but it's so new to us, right? Like, we're like, this is the first time we've done this. So it's like, whoa, what's going on here?
We're just trying to describe to you what our rooms look like.
Right. And this will change, I guarantee. Like, we'll get I think we'll be able to, this is not bad for the first
I don't know.
I think
I have a wife and 2 kids. I don't know where else I can go.
I'm trying to figure out where you are in the house. Did you move it to the living room downstairs?
Yeah, I'm in the basement.
Okay, but not where you normally would do it.
No. I moved everything to a bigger space.
Okay. I'm in the spot that I normally record the podcast.
Where I used to record.
Usually we're not video.
I shoved. We used to have the computer. There's a small room in the basement that we have, and we used to have the computer in there. We put all the kids' toys in there and like the TV and the video games, and that's their room, and they love it. It's like all compact, full of kid shit, and then it opened up so much space, so I could have this.
Well, Chad, I'll tell you this: as we're wrapping this up here, I think maybe, well, not tonight because it was our first time doing Zoom, but we might have to get our secret weapon, the Big D, coming on, give his thoughts.
I asked him today.
Oh, and he didn't want to?
Yeah, he wanted to, but he doesn't have the technical ability.
He doesn't have a desktop with a camera?
Well, but his microphone would be shit.
Well.
But we could get him on for a bit.
We're not going to have him for the whole show. What are you, crazy?
No,
10 minutes tops and he's done. 10 minutes tops and he's out.
Yeah. It'd be a lot of swearing. But next episode, we'll have the Big D on. Our hockey insider.
We'll try. Are we able to, we're figuring this out on the fly here, folks. Are we able to do a Zoom call and have him like not be on Zoom and still be on the podcast? Probably not, eh? I don't think so. That was a dumb question to ask. I don't know why I asked that.
I'm pretty sure if you come on Zoom, you have to be on Zoom.
He could be like anybody who's going to be watching this on YouTube, and you should plug that too at the end, Chad. We're going to like that. This obviously we're going on the YouTube platform, but like we would be on the top, and like the Big D like would be like Bob McKenzie, like have his own box beneath us. That's what I want to see. That's what I want to see.
We'll have it. We'll do that. He could just do it on his phone. The sound wouldn't be great.
Yeah. Okay. There you go. Phone.
All right. So we are going to do, like, now that things are ramping up, we're going to be coming more episodes. We both got our Leafs hats. We're looking good.
Is it fair to say that as we're going to start, we're specifically doing these Zoom podcasts now so that we can start like the YouTube thing? So
yeah, we're going to start posting our stuff on YouTube. Someone actually commented, like sent us a message wanting our podcast on YouTube because that's how they listen to their podcast.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, well, I guess we could post them. And then I thought, well, we'll just do this. We'll just record them.
Look, man, like I might start directing like previously back in the day, like when we were like, we'd post to other Leafs forums and stuff when we were doing podcasts, like we were directing them to like SoundCloud or the other just like audio platforms. But now that we're going to do this, I think I'm going to start directing people to with the YouTube links, like, to be honest, like,
yeah, well,
the more listens we can get on YouTube, the more, if we can grow the channel on YouTube, I think that would be, and still people can listen wherever they want, Spotify, Apple, SoundCloud, wherever you listen.
That is a good spot to wrap it up, because if you want to follow us, you can follow us on Facebook and Instagram at the Tip In Maple Leafs Podcast, on Twitter at the Tip In Podcast, and now on YouTube at the Tip In Maple Leafs Podcast. Now, if you go to our YouTube channel, we do have lots of videos up there from old things and clips. We have clips from the show, but this will be the first one where it's a live recording of me and Dale sitting in our houses talking Leafs.
That's right.
And until next time, keep fit and have fun. Hal Johnson, Joanne McLeod.
When do you think we'll be back here? Sometime next week, once camp opens, and we'll see how things go for the first week. We got to do one next week, by the end of next week, to see how many cases came back positive. And
we'll do one next week. We'll keep doing one every week, and then as things ramp up, like if they do get this going, we'll probably do one maybe after every Toronto Columbus game, just a quick one to talk about games, and we'll see how it goes.
Of course.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah, of course.
Fingers crossed.
All right, Leafs Nation. We'll catch you later.
We will catch you later. For the Tip In Maple Leafs Podcast, I'm Chad.
I'm Dale. Catch you later.